Cycling has always been a relatively costly sport, but recently it has seemingly become more ridiculous than ever. In the UK at least, inflation remains at a near 40-year high, but can that justify the increase in prices of bikes and bike components? Well, we've taken a look at some high-end bikes, some entry-level bikes, and some component prices since 2009, i.e. the year that I started cycling properly, to find out. It's not uncommon now for bikes to cost the same as a nice car, with many premium models costing in excess of £10,000. And seemingly, brands have been having little trouble selling them. At the same time, entry-level bikes have evolved massively, often with price tags to match. The Bicycle Association actually found that the average price of bikes being sold has risen a rather staggering and scary 26% since 2019. But prices were already on the rise well before the pandemic. First up, we're going to take a look at the Specialized S-Works Tarmac, the bike of choice for many men's and women's World Tour teams. In 2009, when the Tarmac was in its SL3 iteration, it was priced at a fairly hefty £5,499. And since then, the average inflation in the UK has been around 4%. Given this percentage increase, we would expect the Tarmac SL7 now to be worth around £8,800, when in reality it comes with a 5-figure price tag costing £11,500. Who knows how much an SL8 could be priced at, but we wouldn't mind betting that it would be a fair bit more than the outgoing version. Now, the top end has always been expensive, but not quite this sort of unobtainable for many. This isn't just a dig at Specialized though, with lots of other brands doing it too. We also looked at the price of a Trek Madone, a long-standing bike in their range. In 2009, a Trek Madone would have cost you £5,000 and will now set you back an eye-watering £13,800. With the rate of inflation, this price should have still been 4 figures, costing around £8,000. This figure actually makes the Specialized look quite good. A lot of the blame for these dramatic price increases gets put firmly on the pandemic. Combine that with a boom in bike sales and you get a lot of demand and not very much supply. This certainly does have an impact on rising prices. However, as you can see from Trek's price increases, this was actually long before COVID, so we do find the whole COVID bubble slightly hard to stomach. We've trawled through tons of brands and models and in general always find the same story. Now, we challenge you to find us a bike that has only increased at the rate of inflation since 2009. Let us know in the comments below if you find one. So we've ascertained that brands' flagship models have received a premium tax, but what about the lower end models? These are after all the bikes being bought by people new to the sport and perhaps more reluctant to drop the big bucks. My first, like many people's first proper road bike, that I could properly call my own anyway, was a Giant Defy 2. So let's take a look at how the price of that has changed. In 2009, the Defy 2 was certainly deemed a decent entry-level bike with a price tag of around £800. Using the same calculations as previously, it should now cost around £1,300 due to inflation, when in actual fact, the Giant Defy Advance 2, that's the 2022 model, is now priced at over £2,000. In fact, £2,299. Can this go on, or is cycling pricing itself out of the market? Golf certainly is beginning to look like a cheap option. I don't like golf though, so. These increases haven't just been seen with bikes, so let's take a look at some group sets for some more ridiculously priced equipment. First up, let's take a look at Sram Red. When the first generation was released in 2008, it would have set you back £1,399 and should now be priced at around £2,200 due to inflation. Seeing nearly the same percentage increase as the Trek Madone, Sram Red ETAP AXS, i.e. the latest generation, will actually set you back £3,349. Now that is an astronomical RRP. We are actually quite worried to see what the new rumoured red group set will cost in 2023. But what about the lower end equipment? Well, here's a look at the price of Shimano's Everyman's Group Set 105 and how it's changed over the years. Sitting firmly under the £500 mark, Shimano 105 5600 back then had an RRP of £459.95. Since then, 105 has of course gone electronic and rim brakes have been chucked in the bin, bringing electronic shifting to its third tier group set. Shimano 105 R7100 Di2 raised plenty of eyebrows and emptied plenty of wallets too when it was released, with a price tag of £1,730. The world's most popular group set might not be the Everyman's group set anymore. Back to comparing that original price, and due to inflation, this group set would have been still 3 figures at £733, so about £1,000 less than what it actually costs now. Oh, I'm afraid we haven't got any pretty graphs when it comes to clothing, as it's much harder to find prices of now defunct items, and brands rarely keep a range going for over a decade without doing something fairly drastically different. What we can say is that it's the same story yet again. In recent years, we've had not just some, but regularly test clothing such as bib shorts over £200, and jerseys costing nearly the same. Let's take DHB, it's a prime example of this. It still represents excellent value cycle clothing when compared to the competition, but I remember paying around £30 for my thermal bib tights not oh so long ago. A quick gander on the Wiggle website indicates that a set of thermal longs are now more likely to cost you in the region of £60, so about double. Looking at these examples then, it definitely appears that we're getting worse value for money than we were, say, 10 years ago. But what's going to happen to the cycling market in 2023? Well, the post-pandemic demand for two wheels has certainly slowed, so we would hope to see that prices of bikes finally stagnate. Maybe the final fallout from the supply distribution of the pandemic is a massive oversupply, with bike manufacturers such as Giant and Merida telling us that they have a surplus. This means that we could expect to see bikes on sale whilst they try and get rid of the stock, bringing those prices down from those overinflated RRPs. That being said, the demand for e-bikes is only going to get bigger, so expect this to be an area that bucks the trend. Have you felt the strain of the increasing cost of cycling? Let us know if you can think of any ridiculous products or brands that you'd like to call out in the comments section below. As ever, if you found this content useful, then drop us a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. See you in the next one, as long as I can afford some new tyres to put on my bike.